It's Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. Google has announced they are cracking down on malicious sites that have been scamming people looking up voting information, with one site attempting to charge money to register to vote. And we've got some great guests, including one of the Fab Five from Queer Eye on Netflix, Karamo. He's going to join us to talk about his podcast, life in general, and he's just cool. You'll want to see it. Plus, robotics are changing many aspects of our home lives, but they're also poised to revolutionize farming. We'll have Mitch Brownlee on to talk about the Smart Farm Field Bot. And as part of our continuing segment, Who's Got Game, where we partner with Fullscreen to bring you talented gamers and creators, we'll be joined by Kevin Lang, better known on YouTube as Kevin X. All of that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. Yes, hello everyone, this is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. So thanks for joining us. Share the show. Let's get you started with some news right here at the top. As we see social media platforms continue to evolve and change in relation to hate speech and the general attitudes that are on their platforms in general, let's talk about Reddit right now. So Reddit has made a policy yesterday shutting down a number of subreddits for violation of some of their policies. So these ones include a whole lot of different ones. There was about 2,000 subreddits that were being banned with this new content policy that Reddit has rolled out. And that includes one for the _Donald, which is a frequent site for Donald Trump supporters, where they said that hate speech has been brought up on there many times, and violent rhetoric that has been showcased on there that violated a lot of their views, a lot of the stances of Reddit. And so with this new content policy, they are shutting them down. And this comes in association with a number of different social media sites that are making big changes. You have Twitter doing some, Facebook in reaction to some of the advertising boycotts that are going on. They're making changes as well as Twitch banning a Donald Trump channel as well. But Reddit making that big change right there. We'll see where that all goes. But Reddit's made a lot of changes here recently to try to quell some of that, some of the speech and some of the attitudes that are on there, some of the bullying that goes on. So that's Reddit making that move, banning some subreddits. Read more about it at digitaltrends.com. Google is also cracking down on a number of things, and that includes misleading voting ads that take people to malicious sites. So this is coming on the search side of things, where when you search, you know, those advertisements that pop up at the top of the page, they are no longer a different color now, so they can easily be misconstrued as being actual sites, not a paid search link. And what is happening is, after a report was published by the Tech Transparency Project saying that nearly a third of the more than 600 voting-related search ads on Google were manipulative, meaning they would tell people to go to a site which was to just gather information or take their data. One of them even tried to charge $129 for voter registration. So these are people who would go there, click on this link thinking it's a legitimate site, and then they would try to charge them to register to vote. And that was a third of these. So Google has taken down these sites. They said that they're looking into how they even made it through their stringent protocols, according to them, of how you get an ad on there. And they're going to be making some big changes. But yeah, that is a lot of what's happening right there. There's a lot of fake information out there, some fake malicious sites that are trying to take advantage of people. We need more sites to crack down on things like this. So that's what, hopefully, this is going to help out with that. But that is Google, again, cracking down on these fake voter registration sites and voter scam sites to only bring out real information instead of that stuff. So that's Google with that. Continuing on here with trending news, again, just talking about what is happening in the world right now, things you need to know about. Google is going to have an event. Now, we all know actual in-person events were canceled long ago. Google I/O is a very big event that Google has every year, and that was canceled. And this would have been, according to them, part of that. But now they're having a whole separate event called Hey Google Smart Home Virtual Summit. I apologize if I set off anybody's devices right there by saying that, but that is the Smart Home Virtual Summit. And so it's going to be, they're going to have a keynote speech that'll happen on July 8th at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, followed by a panel with several different members of the smart home industry and a series of developer sessions. So a lot of this will be focused on the development side, but there usually are some more consumer-facing things that will happen with this. So probably some updates to Assistant. Sure that we'll see some different things and some more incorporation of other products. They said they're going to introduce new tools that make it easier to develop with Google Assistant. And so this is a pretty big event that's going to be going on. And again, that's coming up on July 8th. It's the Google Smart Home Virtual Summit. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Let's continue on here with trending news that could affect you. Uber is reportedly in talks right now, as of this broadcast, to buy Postmates, one of their rival food delivery services. Postmates also delivers other things besides food, but this comes on the heels of Uber being reportedly in talks to buy a number of different rival services. They may have been trying to buy Grubhub, but that failed. Grubhub was actually taken up by Just Eat Takeaway, which is a European-based service. And with that $7.3 billion deal, they became the world's largest online food delivery company outside of China. So Just Eat Takeaway is going to be coming into the U.S. market, probably under the name Grubhub. We'll see how that all comes out. But Uber looking to shore up their place in this when it comes to food delivery for Uber Eats is what we're talking about. They are reportedly trying to buy Postmates. Now, Postmates has also been in talks with DoorDash. It's a whole lot of consolidation that seems to be going on with the food delivery industry, which is booming right now in association with the coronavirus limitations that we all have. So that's something you can check out there. Again, that is Uber in talks to buy Postmates. Read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Continue on, trending news. Facebook and Oculus have shown a concept of what could be the new version of virtual reality glasses. Now, we're used to seeing VR headsets as big, bulky things, sometimes tethered to even a machine in order to make them work. This is a concept that probably would be acceptable by a lot more people. And so these glasses that are very slim, they're smaller than the usual LCD or OLED shining glasses, OLED glasses, and these things actually utilize holographic imaging. And the video that they showcased shows it kind of in that green scale, but they said that once they actually put these out, there'll be a wider color image that would be showcased with these. And they think that this could something that could actually be glasses that you could wear all day long versus what you wear right now with VR glasses, which is for a much shorter amount of time. So again, that's Oculus showing off these concept VR hologram glasses. Pretty cool. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. And final trending topic is something that's coming up later on today here. This is SpaceX making another launch, but this time it's not their Starlink satellites. They're not sending humans up. They're sending up a GPS satellite for Space Force. And so this launch is taking place, well, scheduled to take place later today. They have a very short window to actually make it work. Their takeoff schedule is for 3:55 p.m. Eastern Time. 4:10 p.m. Eastern Time is when their actual window is. So it's a 15-minute window that they've got. And this is going to be coming from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. So it'll be, once again, a showcase of the Falcon 9. They're going to attempt to land it again. And it's always fun seeing how they do this. But again, that's coming up later today. And we'll be rebroadcasting that. So whatever platform you're watching us on, we'll have it right there. So hit subscribe. And you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
Yes, our product of the day is this, the Philips Hue White Ambiance Smart Bulb Starter Kit. So if you've been looking to get into some smart bulbs, we were talking about smart homes, this is the starter kit for you. It comes with 4 Philips Hue lights. You have some different colors, different ways that you can do your lighting. So it's soft white lighting, or if you want to like brighten it up, you can do all kinds of different things. You can actually connect it to a whole bunch of other lights as well, of course. It comes with 4 A19 LED smart bulbs, and it's got the hub, the Philips Hue hub that you'll need. So this thing will bridge and connect with any kind of other smart home device that you've got there. So that is a great way to get started if you want to get your home set up for smart lighting. Again, that's our product of the day, and that is the Philips Hue White Ambiance Smart Bulb Starter Kit. So check that out right there at the link that is below me. It starts off at $119.99. That is $30 off the normal price. That's our product of the day. All right, we're going to get to a break because coming up next, we have one of the Fab Five from Queer Eye on Netflix, Karamo. Here, I actually spoke to him yesterday, so we're going to be playing that here right now. My shirt will look a little different, but that's coming up next. Stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We get to talk to some amazing people on this show, and that is what is coming up next. Our next guest really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to do one anyway because I have to. You know him certainly as one of the Fab Five on Queer Eye on Netflix, and also from his podcast of the same name that I'm announcing right now. It is Karamo joining us here on the show. Karamo, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm glad to be here with you, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, excited to talk to you about everything that you have going on. And start off, let's talk about the podcast, because you get to talk to some really great people. It covers a lot of great topics, but I want to get from you, for everybody out there who maybe isn't familiar with it, how would you describe it, and what made you want to start this show to begin with?
Sure. So the podcast is called Karamo. A smart woman by the name of Oprah said, you have a name that's unique enough, so brand everything Karamo. So my book is Karamo, my Instagram, my Twitter, everything's Karamo, podcast Karamo. But literally, I started because I've always been in a field of helping people and making sure that people had someone they could rely on. And, you know, being on Queer Eye, being the one who has to help the minds and hearts of the people we're helping and help them get to their whatever issue is truly blocking them, I was like, oh my gosh, so many people coming to me on the street and they need that same help. So I started the podcast on Luminary so that way people could call in. And so to this day, I always have at least 5 to 15 people who are regular people from around the world who can call in and speak to me and get advice on whatever issue they're going through. Sometimes I have conversations with a mom and a daughter who are fighting and at it, or I'll have a conversation with, a boss and a person who, their employee, and I help navigate those issues. And then I pair them with a celebrity so that, people can, come in and be like, oh, let me hear this, but then they also hear something they're going through. So it just feels really nice that I'm able to extend what I'm doing on Queer Eye to everyone at home, because that's what it should be about anyway.
Well, I love the fact that you're being so interactive, too, with your fans and people who need this help. I mean, it's something you do so well on the show, and yeah, to expand that to other people. And I guess a couple of questions that I have about that. Number one, when it comes to the tech side of things, when it comes to a podcast and that particular medium, what do you find that is different or more engaging with that versus what you do on television?
Sure. So I think what is very interesting is that it actually makes it easier for me. Most people aren't really good empathetic listeners. And so people always joke with me, like on Queer Eye, that when I come on, just know that you're about to cry or that there's tears coming. And that's usually because people aren't given a space to just share. Usually when someone starts talking, someone is already like, so if I'm the listener, I already start thinking about like what I'm going to respond or what solution I'm going to give them, instead of just allowing them to talk. So when people are talking to me, I'm not looking to give them a response. I'm not looking to already come up with a solution in my mind. I'm allowing them to talk. And through that empathetic listening, people then start to have this emotional reaction because they're like, oh, I'm finally being heard for the very first time. And what happens on a podcast is that the same thing happens but even better, because on camera, there's camera people around, there's crew around, sound, everyone's in the moment. And through audio, it's just me and that person. So when I get quiet, they really just start to open up and they start to divulge what they're going through. And then you get to those emotional impacts or like the traumas a lot quicker. And so that's what I love about it.
I love the fact that you also pair it with celebrities as well and bring somebody in to also share in some of that experience. And looking back to some of the episodes, I guess one question that we had was just who's been maybe the most surprising celebrity, or what was the most surprising revelation during one of your shows?
Ooh, I have some that are coming up that haven't come out yet that I can't talk about yet. So I think out of the episodes that we've had so far, I'll just start with my castmates. Most people didn't know that my castmate Bobby Burke had been arrested 4 times, had been in jail, had been within the criminal system, that he was also homeless and living on the streets for many years, because they look at all 5 of us and they're like, oh, they've always had it together. Things have always been great. And they don't realize that we were 5 individuals that literally had to figure out what we've been through. The same thing we're helping with the heroes to go through. And I think a lot of people were surprised at that. Same thing with my castmate Tan. He recently on his episode talked about how his life was constantly in danger. Like there was moments where people tried to kill him because he was Muslim and gay. And I mean, it's like you look at him and you're like, oh, look, he has a perfect life, and don't realize this was a young man that just 10 years ago was running off of a bus because someone was trying to hurt him. And I think, like for me to even get my castmates to open up and reveal about that, just shows like also what other people are going to be revealing on the show.
Wow, that's really powerful right there.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, and these are people that you work with, and still you're getting people to open up and talk about that. Looking at it, a couple of other questions here just about this. I'm trying to think of where to go. Talking about, you mentioned opening up and somebody who is in danger there for doing that, and I want to kind of transition to what's going on in the world right now and talk about the social media aspect, because I wanted to get your opinion. Social media is certainly polarizing in a lot of ways. There's a lot of people that have the freedom to talk about issues, but there's also, of course, the fear of harassment and people who are going to go the opposite direction on that. And from your standpoint, do you have an idea of what would be a healthy interaction and engagement, a healthy level of interaction and engagement on social media?
Yeah, no comments. Like literally, I know that Instagram just recently did something where they're taking off likes, or they've done it in some countries. They're trying to experiment here, but it's not the likes that is the problem. I know that they think, I wish I was on that team when they were actually figuring out what was truly affecting the self-esteem of kids and individuals. It's not the amount of likes. It's the fact that people who don't like your photos or who don't like your comments, or who just want to be vicious, then start to say things that you then end up reading, and you go down this wormhole, and those narratives get stuck in your subconscious and you start to believe them. And so there is no such thing as a healthy conversation on social media. I do not believe that one bit at all. You have people spouting their point of views and saying this is right, and then other people saying I'm right, but there's no real healthy conversation or communication that's coming to some real solution. I think the only benefit of social media is it does bring awareness to the issues that many people wouldn't be exposed to. So I think that many people would not have understood what was going on with Black lives, and like the systemic issues, like America tries to act real brand new, like we didn't know people were racist. But like, I think, fine, if we're gonna act brand new, I'm glad that social media is there to wake them up. People try to act brand new like they didn't know that people discriminate against women, and that women were being, raped and harassed by, men who abuse their power. And great, social media brought that to our attention. And we saw the Me Too movement. We saw change happening. So I think bringing things to people's attention is probably the only benefit of social media, but I do not think social media is a space for any type of healthy conversations.
Interesting. Going from that, I want to talk to you about, I guess, just the idea of technology and in general for you personally here, or especially these last several months where we've had a pandemic, people have been in quarantine. For you, what's the one piece of technology that you found the most valuable over the last few months?
Oh my gosh, my laptop, because I've never Zoomed so much in my life. Oh my gosh, I'm constantly Zooming. But you know what? It's really also, I'm young, so I'm not young, I'm youngish, but I'm 39 years old. And I realized that technology moves so fast. And that in this moment of really having to sit with myself in technology, I realized how intimidated I am by a lot of technology. And so it was in my mind prior to the quarantine, I always thought it was like my mom who was in her 60s, like they're intimidated. But I didn't realize how fast it was until I started having to download apps, and I started having to become my own, tech person in my house, that how much I did not know and how much I do not understand. And I think that, I wish that there was more of a space for people who are of my age or maybe a little bit younger to be able to feel free in saying, I don't know technology without feeling ridiculed. Because sometimes I feel like if I say it, people are like, really? You don't know that? And I found myself, to be honest with you, doing it to my fiance the other day. Like, he was doing something on Instagram and I was like, really? You don't know what you're doing? And I was like, oh, snap. That's literally what I need to stop doing, because we're creating this space of like this divide. And we're going into a new age where technology is truly going to be 60 to 70% of all of our lives. And we can't shame people who are not able to keep up with the ever evolving, technological advances. And so I just really want to really just make sure that that conversation being had about like, hey, young people, hey, be patient with somebody. don't make fun of them if they're like, I don't understand what TikTok is, or I don't understand what this app does. Allow them a space to grow and learn. It's the same thing about conversations we're having in the world about everything. Allow people a space to grow and learn, because that's the only way we all can start to bond and we see things get better.
I could not agree with you more. I used to go on Reddit forums to try to find help with tech issues. That is not the place to go
Not
to
at
ask
all.
questions again.
Hold on. I just downloaded Reddit for the first time during the quarantine. You did too? Oh, my fiance's right here, and he just said that he just downloaded it too. I just downloaded it the other day, and I was like, what is Reddit about? And so now I'm like in this space where I'm like on this wormholes of like asking questions and stuff. So it's so funny that you say that, because I'm starting to discover it's the wrong place to ask certain questions. But even that, like, before I'd have been ashamed to say in 2020, I just downloaded Reddit, but like it's a journey. And so I'm okay with like being okay with the fact that I don't know technology even at 39 and I'm still learning.
Something to ask just about your Fab Five castmates, since we're going on talking about technology.
Yeah.
In your opinion, who is the most tech savvy of the five of you?
Bobby Burke. Bobby Burke is just the most savvy on everything. And that's just the real, like, he keeps himself informed. That's part of his superpower. He wants to know the most in a room. So he's always going to be the one to be like, hey, this is what you do. And on the flip side, I'm the least educated on it. And he and I are the closest. So you can imagine how much Bobby shames me, which is probably why I just said what I said, because he's always like, you don't know that, like, what are you doing? But I know that he still loves me and he tries to be patient with me and show me the way still.
I feel like it's a little different when it's a close friend, giving you a hard time.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a little different. I still want to talk about it sometimes. I still want to be like, shut up, but I love him.
All right. I know that we're starting to run out of time with you, and I just want to say, one, just how great a thing it is that you do, not only with what you do with Queer Eye. It's such an amazing show. And you mentioned, that you get people crying sometimes watching your scenes. I mean, they're emotional scenes, but they're so great just how you treat the people that are on the show and what you do with the podcast. And, really, I just want to say thank you for having this out there anytime, but also in particular just during this time when I feel like everybody needs something like that.
I appreciate that. I think that my goal, and I hope that it's come across, is that I wish that we could focus on our mental health the same way we focus on our fitness, our physical health. We're all so proud to go into to tell people, I'm going into the gym, I'm starting a diet. We're just so proud to announce these things. But like, if we're feeling down, if we're feeling anxious, if we're not sure, like, what's going on with our wives, our husbands, our kids, if we're confused about our job, like, we're not as open to sharing that. And so we keep it up here and it starts to fester and get darker. And then we start to get more lost. And what I want people to understand is that you have the freedom and you have the courage inside of you to be open about what you're feeling. Because when you're open about your emotions, that path becomes clearer. It's not so dark anymore. And you realize there's a lot of other people who are feeling the same thing. And together and collectively, you walk down that path feeling confident, knowing that you'll get the life you deserve.
Karamo, right there. Thank you so much for being here on the show. I mean, that was perfect. You perfectly closed that. I just want to say, once again, thank you for being here on our show. Thank you for doing what you do. Karamo podcast on Luminary, Queer Eye on Netflix, and everything else that you do. People should all go check out. Thank you.
Talk to you soon, my friend. Take care now.
You too. All right, there we go. Karamo right here on Digital Trends Live. I know we need to get to a break, but I want to thank everybody for joining us here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you these trending tech headlines, news, interviews, and discussions. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for being here with us. We are broadcasting live. You can join us anytime and share the show. Let other people know about it. We're going to be joined by our own John Velasco next because as we go into summer, obviously, security in your backyard is important. And that's why we're going to talk about some of the best outdoor security cameras that you can use. John Velasco is going to walk through some of them for us. John, what are some key features that people need to be looking at when they're looking into getting an outdoor security camera?
So yeah, Greg, thanks for having me. So there's a lot to look at. Obviously, summer, you're gonna have some parties in the backyard. So there are a bunch of features. Number one you want to look out for in a camera is something with a wide field of view. Usually wider is better, so you have more coverage for your cameras. The second thing you want to look at is night vision. Obviously, when it gets dark, you want to be able to see what's outside, especially if you don't have great lighting in the front yard or the backyard. The third thing you want to look at too is spotlight feature. So a spotlight will be able to illuminate the area. So if it detects someone or intruder, or if you just want to turn on, you have that option. Detection zones are important because it could track for motion in those areas. And you have also things like facial people recognition. So you don't get as many notifications. Let's say a car is passing by. You have also operating temperature ranges. So how well are they built? Are they able to withstand the extreme cold, the extreme heat? And finally, two-way audio. So if you have guests in your backyard, but you're inside, you don't want to go out, you have the option to do that. So, Greg's, we round out a bunch of different cameras for the security scorecard piece we're looking at here. And I'm not sure if you got a chance to look, but we do have a bunch that we're going to recommend here. And I want to talk about the first one, which is the Arlo Pro 3 Floodlight. Now, this camera we just reviewed on digitaltrends.com, and it's available right now. $249 for this packed security camera for the outdoors. So what's notable about it is that it has the widest field of view out of all the cameras we tested out. 160 degrees, so that's almost a full 180. So it'll be able to cover your backyard completely. You also have things like the highest resolution for detail and clarity. So it's not 1080p, it's a little bit better than 1080p. I believe it's 2K resolution. So it has crisp details. You'd be able to make out the people in your backyard if you have friends over, or if you want to just protect your home, you'll be able to detect intruders. And it also has a lot of the features I just talked about in this camera. It has facial recognition. You have the wider field of view. You have the spotlight feature. Obviously, the spotlight is key, and it's probably one of the most unique things about this. It is blinding. You have also a loud siren. So in the event that it finds someone that's not supposed to be there, you could set it off. So the second camera here that made our list is the Ring Floodlight camera. Now, it's available right now. It's $249 for this particular camera. And Ring, we all heard about Ring. They're a popular brand. Some of the key things to note about this is actually been designed to work in more extreme temperature ranges. So, in fact, it's able to withstand the bitter cold, the scorching heat, and it's probably one of the highest rated as far as IP constructions out there in a security camera for the outdoors. I guess the only thing that it's missing, because it has all the things we were looking for. It has a pretty good field of view, night vision. It has a spotlight, obviously. You can see it right there. It has also a siren, but the one thing that it's missing is just facial recognition. So, it won't be able to determine if it's a person, a pet, or some other thing just moving that has motion. So that's the one thing there. And if you already are invested into the Ring ecosystem, it's a natural fit because it will work with your Ring video doorbell, work with your outdoor lights. So if you're already in that system, it's definitely the one to check out. The next one here, the third camera that's on our list, Greg, here, is the Nest Cam IQ Outdoor. It's from Google. It's actually the most expensive option on our list. $350 for this camera. So it is kind of on the pricey side, but there are some key features about it. You have probably one of the best as far as video footage is concerned. It has crisp details, and that really is seen in the other Nest cameras out there. So footage is sharp, very clear. You have also a unique feature you're not going to find that much on other cameras: intelligent zoom. So in fact, it'll be able to zoom in on subjects, and it doesn't really degrade the quality all that much because of this feature. I believe they use a 4K sensor, which allows for this digital zooming with retaining all the details. The only thing I gotta say for a camera this pricey is that it lacks a siren and a floodlight. But if you're again invested into that ecosystem with Google, then it's a natural fit. It'll work with other Nest devices in their lineup. And Greg, the last one here, I'm just going to throw this one out there. Not many people knows this brand, but we have the Lorix Smart Outdoor Wi-Fi Camera. Now, I know most people don't know who this maker is, but I just want to point out there that Lorix has a value-centric camera here, and the unique thing about it is that it's $190. It's actually the cheapest outdoor security camera on our scorecard. And you get a good value for the money because you're going to get pretty much all those features I said. It has night vision, it has that spotlight, it has the siren, detection zones, and it's able to detect people as well. It's built to withstand the elements, and you have that two-way audio. So it has all the points that we're looking for in an outdoor security camera. But the thing is that it makes some compromises. You have all those features, but it doesn't necessarily excel in all those areas. Yes, the video footage can be kind of grainy. The floodlight compared to the Arlo is a little bit on the weaker side, and it has a narrower field of view, 129 degrees versus the Arlo Pro 3, which has that really wide 160. So narrower field of view, but again, it's a compromise you're gonna have to accept because it is $190. And you get all those features packed into a camera. So that is our outdoor security scorecard.
Nice. That's a great roundup of some different ones to consider for your backyard parties or just general home security. I did have some questions just really quick because I have the Ring one, and I've been looking at maybe getting another one. What do you know about the battery life? Do any of these, or are all these hardwired, or does anyone have a better or worse battery life?
Okay, so they're all, with the exception of the Arlo. The Arlo is the only one that's a battery-operated outdoor camera. The rest need some sort of wiring. Obviously, if you have an existing floodlight, the installation is going to be a lot easier. It's going to be tougher, obviously, if you don't have an existing one because you got to get the wiring, set up for that. But yeah, the Arlo is good because basically you could put it anywhere in the home, outside your home, whether it's in the corner, by a porch, and it does use battery power. But I'm told from one of the people that reviewed it for us on our website that the battery life is excellent. So far, nearly a month after using it, still didn't have to recharge. So in that regard, for a camera that has a spotlight, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually amazing if it's lasted that long. Well, a great roundup, and as always, John will keep everybody up to date on what's to consider, what the best products are, what the differences are, and all that's at digitaltrends.com as well for people to go and take a look at. John, as always, really appreciate your insight and knowledge on all of this, and we'll talk to you soon. Awesome. Thanks, Greg. John Velasco right there. He knows his stuff. So check out all of that at Digital Trends. It's where I go to when I'm thinking about buying something like this smart home product, anything like that. I take a look at his reviews. All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live. We are broadcasting live, and we've got a lot to talk about. But next up, we're going to talk about some robotics, I believe. We're going to be discussing how it's changing farming and a very interesting aspect of that. That's coming up next. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you are on and join the show here every single weekday. And right now, we're going to talk about robotics. We know how it's changing our lives at home, but what about the food chain and in particular farming? Some big advancements happening in that field, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. We have joining us Mitch Brownlee, the CEO. We're going to be talking about Smart Farm, the FieldBot, and something new. Thank you so much for being here. Mitch, I wanted to start off by maybe getting a little bit of your background and how you got into this and where you saw that you could help change the way that farming happens.
Hey, Greg. Well, honestly, it was out of sheer laziness. I grew up on a cotton farm, so I had to do all the unfortunate jobs. And one of those was getting out of bed at 2 a.m. and going down and checking the irrigation, making sure the water's gone through all the cotton crops. And to get out of that job, I decided to build something. So we started with just a SIM card and a water sensor so that I could leave that at the bottom of the paddock. And at 2 a.m. when the water's done, the irrigation's done, it'll send a text message to whoever needs to know, and they can do what needs to be done. Since then, the company's obviously grown a lot, and now our field bots, they can do a lot more. Because that one that used to just sit at the drain, now it can communicate with bots all over the farm. So when it senses water, it doesn't have to wake anyone up. You can turn pumps off, turn pumps on, open irrigation gates, and set rules so that the farm should run itself with these bots in our smart farm.
I love that this is born out of laziness, because I mean that's great, but also it's so efficient, what you're doing here, because it really is kind of changing up how farming is going. And I do want to acknowledge you're in Australia right now, so for anybody who's watching, why is it dark there? That is why. So let's talk about what this new announcement is to what you're going to be doing. This Field Micro, if you can explain what this is and how farmers can incorporate this into their process.
Yeah, so Field Micro, it's made up of two parts. So we've got the FieldBot, which you can see in front of you there. It's the solar-powered portable unit. So like you were talking about webcams before, this is like that, but much better because it's solar-powered, so you can leave it out for as long as you want. It's got its internal sensors, like the temperature sensor, humidity, the air pressure, UV, solar, and with its long life battery in the solar panel, you can set it and forget it. And as for what it does, apart from sending all that information back to your online platform, the Smart Farm, you can connect your farm infrastructure to it. If you're on an irrigation property, you'd connect your irrigation pumps or gates or what else have you. If you're on a livestock property, again, you could connect gates. It's got an RFID reader. Aussie cattle anyway, they all have RFID tags, so you can keep track of your cattle all over the property. And with the indoor farms, like the chicken farms and the pigs, same goes. People have got these things to control their lighting systems. And because they've got the internal sensors, they can also see what's going on with the air quality inside of their properties. And they're designed to be universally compatible. So whatever infrastructure the farmer already has, we hope that they can just connect it as it is, plug it into their FieldBot, and then you go to the online Smart Farm platform, and that's where you can create rules where bots will talk to each other and turn things on and off at certain times if certain things are triggered. And the Smart Farm platform's also where we're working with John Deere. So if you've got your compatible John Deere tractors, then you'll be able to see those in real time, where they are, fuel, fertilizer, whatever you're doing with the implement, you'll be able to see what's going on. And same with, we're working with Maxar, the satellite company. So we've got more up-to-date satellite data than you're going to get out of Google Maps or the equivalent. And not just imagery, but also radar, near infrared, so you can see through the crops, you can see into the soil. So Smart Farm and FieldBot make up Field Micro, and they effectively should save a lot of time and money on most agricultural properties.
Wow, I mean that is incredible. I love the fact that how modular it is. I guess that you said it can affect and work with anything, whatever kind of farm somebody has, whatever their existing equipment. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment on its own. A question I have just about the tech behind it is you mentioned, that it can communicate with everything. It's got universal communication, I guess, in that aspect. But what is the connectivity like? How is it transmitting its information? Is it cloud-based, or how does that work?
Yep. So because this started in rural Australia, obviously it works with 3G, 4G, 5G. On top of that, if you're in quite a remote area in a lot of places around the world, because this is a global product, it'll work anywhere where your phone works. And on top of that, we're using new technology called NB-IoT. It's getting rolled out in Australia with Telstra. I can't say for the rest of the world at the moment, but it uses lower bandwidth. But it's still enough bandwidth for us to censor all the data from the FieldBot in real time. So even if you don't have the best cell reception, FieldBot will still be able to help you automate your property.
You mentioned that this is a global product, so it's meant for everybody. And just like you said, these different ways that you can increase that connectivity no matter where somebody's at. So as far as for everybody out there who would want to take advantage of this, where are you at in the production process? How many people are utilizing it? And what are the plans here for the near future with this?
We've got them out in the field getting tested with our beta testers at the moment. And our pre-sale has just started this week. We're going to be shipping them early next year. For people who want to take up the pre-sale offer, normally these things retail for $1,600 US each, but for our pre-sale buyers, we're going to give them a much better deal. If they only want one, for the hobby farmers or for the people in their backyard, if they want a solar-powered 3G camera, they can get them for $799. Or if you are running a proper agricultural operation, you might need 5, 10 or more, then we do better pricing for that, 5 or 10% on top of that, depending on how many you need. But if you want the pre-sale pricing, it's in the next few months. However, after that, we're still going to be shipping them. We're not going to stop. And they'll be hitting the market early next year.
I love this innovation that you're doing here. I mean, certainly something bringing that to farmers. They can absolutely use the help, number one, but also, the efficiency, all the advantages that this could bring. Really, really cool. And what's the best place for people to go to find out more information and to be able to participate in what you're doing?
So if you want to find out more about the product, how it can work for your property, and if you want to put in an order, visit fieldmicro.com. That's www.fieldmicro.com. And you'll see all the details there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Digital Trends Live and talking about this. Really incredible what you're achieving, and I wish you the best of success with this.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate the time.
Mitch Brownlee right there. Very cool seeing how technology is changing farming. Certainly a lot of advantages to that, and the tech behind it is pretty incredible, being universal connectivity like that and all modular. Very, very cool. So let's continue on here with Digital Trends Live. We have more coming up. It is Tuesday, so we have our segment with Full Screen. We're going to be talking about Who's Got Game, and up next we've got Kevin X from YouTube. So stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Yes, indeed. It's Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. It's time for Who's Got Game, where we partner with Fullscreen to bring you talented creators and entertainers and gamers and stars to talk about their life, how they got to where they are, and all kinds of things. And right now, we are joined by Kevin X. Kevin, thank you so much for being here with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I heard you say talented creators. I was like, oh, is there someone else coming? Because I don't think that's me.
It's you. And that's what I wanted to start off talking about, actually. So, you know, you're in so many different facets of entertainment, but one of the things that I found really interesting is just your unique background, and you've experienced so many different cultures. And I wanted to ask how, you know, if you can give everybody just a little bit of your background and just how that shaped your viewpoint of entertainment.
Wow, that's a good question. No, I was born in Paris. I grew up there for 11 years, and then I moved to Zimbabwe in Africa, and then I moved to West Virginia when I was 16. Then I moved to California. So it's definitely a lot of moving. I'd say the biggest thing I took from all of it was just being open-minded. I think traveling has made me extremely open-minded and kind of self-aware of different cultures and like people around me. Probably the biggest one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of different things to bring into it. Going from there, I guess, just for you, you know, with all this travel and stuff, what drew you to entertainment? Like, what made you want to get into this? What was maybe your first steps into getting into that field?
So I think I've always loved just like making people laugh. When I was a kid, my mom would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I always said, "Oh, I just want to be able to put something online and make a stranger in Cambodia smile." I don't know why I picked Cambodia. That was just the country I always decided to. And in high school, I would make videos for extra credit for my classes that I was not doing well in. They would give me extra credit for making like skits. And so it started from there. And then eventually it just became like, oh, I can turn this into a job, which that is years of realization. But that's how I started, just making extra credit videos in high school.
Well, going from, you know, making extra credit videos in high school to where you're at now with this huge platform that you've created, I mean, let's talk about that. Like, at what point did you sit back and realize, like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing now. Like, this YouTube channel is huge. This is blown up. Was there like one moment, or was it just kind of like a gradual growing of it?
I think it was a mix of both, because I remember like December of last year was when I first started making money on social media, and I was like, oh, I can, because I went to my roommates. I'm like, hey, I want to do this like full time and try to make money off videos, but I don't know if I'm able to. And he looked at me like I was like, you can do this. You just have to put in the time. So I spent like from December till January, like just saving money and making as much content as I could. And this week, last year was when I quit my job to do YouTube full time. But that summer, I think was the one time where I realized like, I think I was getting 25,000 subscribers a month last summer. And that's when it was like this is becoming like a thing and I can run with this, you know? So it wasn't like overnight, but it was definitely like I started my channel in 2009. So it's been 10 years of making videos. And then that summer was kind of when it just like came together, you know?
I love that. That means that all the hard work and all the time you put into it paid off. And, you know, for a lot of other people who are out there who are creators or who want to, you know, aspire to do something like what you're doing, maybe for some recommendations, like what do you think about? What's your approach when you go to make a new video? Do you plan it out? Is it more just something pops into your head? Like, how do you go about that creativity process?
It's definitely a mix. You know, I feel like I see a lot of things and like I watch a lot of content every day. I try to stay very like educated on the platform and what's trending. And ideas will come to me and I kind of just refine them and like turn them into like add a little Kevin to it. Lately with the vlogs, I'm starting this new thing where I make these vlogs and the ending has a voiceover kind of like life lesson. So now I start with a lesson or like a surprise or a theme, and then I just build around that. So, you know, the last one was my birthday. So the theme was my birthday, building around that. Or a couple of videos ago, my roommate hit his 1-year sobriety mark. And so I wanted to do a surprise video for him. And so that's the premise. And I just build like a bunch of other skits and fun things around that.
I love that, thinking about a theme. So, and something else, you know, kind of along those lines, I guess, for you, you mentioned that you follow along with what's going on and follow other platforms and try to stay up to date with that. So is there anybody in particular that you're following right now that you've been following more recently or that you're enjoying their content?
I watch a lot of people. I definitely have like a wide range. I watch David Dobrik. Obviously, we all do. We've been missing him. Someone that's like, you know who I do love to watch is, you know what? Let me go real quick on my YouTube page and see who I'm subscribed to, and just give you the list. So I know I have the Nelk Boys on there, Destroying. So like wide range, right? JC Kalen, the Paul brothers, just gotta stay updated. Mr. Beast, all my friends. I watch all my friends. We have watch parties at our house. So like, you know, Sam and Colby, Jake, Corey, all those guys who make videos in our friend group, we have like big watch parties. But that's pretty much it, really. Oh, Kazurguts, what's in a nutshell? This is the channel about like.
In a nutshell?
Yeah, the educational channel. I think they're from Germany. Oh, yeah. I watch those guys like religiously. Like I just love. Like I'll hide in my corner and watch a lot of like history videos. I think maybe I'm just getting old, but I love history videos.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I love the history videos too. I'm with you on that one. Looking at you know, your career where you're at now, and you've been, you know, a part of these actually a couple of really great series and movies. Where do you want to take that side of things? Do you want to continue acting, or are you enjoying YouTube more? Or do you want to do a mix of both?
I've thought about it recently too. I think because I started, you know, working on set and stuff like that, and it kind of led me YouTube. My whole brand is called One More, and the idea was kind of like, you know, being persistent. It's not the people who have the most talent or work the hardest who make it. It's the ones who just keep giving it that one more day, one more work, one more rep, whatever. And I feel like I'm not done with acting. I feel like there's a lot more for me to do in acting. So I'm sure I will go back. But the reason why I left was because I wanted full control of what I was making. I felt like when you're in the industry, all these other people control what's being put out there. And YouTube was the one place where I could fully control my own TV show. You know, I created all these different mini shows on YouTube. So I'm sure I'd like to do both, to answer the question shortly. I want to do both, eventually go back to acting, but I'll always keep YouTube because that's my baby, you know?
That's awesome. Makes perfect sense too. Well, Kevin, I want to say thank you very much, for joining us here on the show and to talk about what you've got going on. I guess one last question I had. We've been talking a lot about gaming, and I don't know if you are doing much right now in that field, but is there any particular game that you're playing right now?
I am not much of a gamer anymore, so I don't have any game. There's one game that we all play a lot. I forget the name. It's the one with the cars, and it's like a soccer game, but the cars are controlling the ball.
Not Twisted Metal. I know what you're talking about, actually. Now I'm forgetting the name too. I put you on the spot, and now you threw it back at me, and that was solid work that you just did there. So.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna figure it out, and then the next time I'm on the show, we'll start with that.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being here with us. Appreciate it a lot. Everybody follow Kevin X and everything you're doing. And thanks for being here on Digital Trends Live with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Kevin X right there. That's awesome. What a cool story. And follow his channel. It's highly entertaining. Seriously, recommend it. And we'll figure out whatever game that was. I know we're getting comments right now from somebody who's really mad, being like, guys, it's this game. All right, let's continue on, though. We do need to, well, I guess, wrap up and tell you about what's coming up tomorrow, because Digital Trends Live is here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, like I said before. So hit subscribe, whatever platform you're on. That way you get the notification when we go live. You can join us. Let's see, coming up tomorrow, we've got Luke Larson to talk about computing, all kinds of things going on in that. We've got Ciara Pressler. I believe that's tomorrow for another edition of Work Life. So yes, I believe that's happening tomorrow. See, things happen so quick on this show, we just follow along with what it is. So that's why we're here every single day. I want to remind you too, at 2:30 p.m. Pacific today, we've got our live Roundtable Tech podcast, Trends with Benefits, where we're going to be talking about the fact that today is the 50-year anniversary of the first ever video phone call. 50 years to the date. June 30th. So later on today, we're going to talk about that and kind of unravel where video calls are at and where it's going in the future. So that's coming up 2:30 p.m. Pacific. Hit subscribe, whatever platform, you can join us. All right, I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.